What's up, y'all? I'm Joseph from the MTG Thoughtcast, and today I'm coming to you with a deck tech for one of my favorite decks lately. It's a super underrated commander. It's got nearly 40 creatures, and a lot of times it wins with Approach of the Second Sun. So, if that's intriguing, before we get into it, give us a like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Tells the robots that you like us. And we have a Discord in the link down below if you want to join some real discussion about everything. So today, we are talking about Tocasia Digsite Mentor. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so Tocasia is the commander of the deck. Tocasia is a 4-mana 4/3 that says creatures I control have vigilance and tap to surveil 1, and then an ability from the graveyard. You can pay 8 and exile her to remove her from the graveyard, return any number of target artifacts with total mana value 10 or less from your graveyard. So there's a little bit of recursion built into her. She does weird things with combat because everything has vigilance, tapping to surveil 1. It's a little bit of manipulating the top deck, a little bit of filling the graveyard. So that's kind of what we're focusing on. So first thing let's get into is the win conditions of the deck. Like I said, the main one is Approach of the Second Sun. Because we're going to be tapping and surveilling a bunch, we're going to be able to kind of dig through the deck to be able to find this after we cast it. So it's pretty often what you do is you cast Approach of the Second Sun, and then by your next turn, it should be the next card that's available. So it's kind of a one round, everybody's got one chance. So that's my favorite way. Entreat the Angels, because we're kind of doing some top deck manipulation, just getting a ton of angels down. Miracle is very fun with this. Dark Depths, because we're doing some land recursion, we can kind of keep getting it back. We have a lot of protection with it. Portal to Phyrexia doesn't seem like a win condition, but a lot of times it's just going to win the game. Makes everyone sack 3 things, reanimates. It's also, you can get it with Tocasia if she dies. It's great, good fun. Storm of Souls is mass recursion of our graveyard. So after a board wipe, or even with a bunch of surveilling, you just get a bunch of 1/1s back. With Tocasia out, they all can tap to surveil 1. It's good fun. We have a couple secret commanders in this deck. Shurikai Genesis Engine is unbelievable here. This is sort of we want to get Shurikai out. It is the secret commander of the deck. This is basically a Shurikai deck plus green. So we love Shurikai. Ellie and Allen Paleontologists is kind of a newer include, but being able to exile a creature card from the graveyard to discover X where X is its mana value, you're just like casting free things every turn. Works really well with some cycle, some channel cards that we have in the deck. So we'll get into that in a little bit later. Top deck manipulation. This is the least thing that we're doing with this deck. So there's just a few bits in it. Terminus is great because you can miracle it for 1. It's also, you kind of have to play around it, but it's a good one. So Terminus, there's a few things that we want to be tapping with Tocasia. Stonybrook Schoolmaster and Amara Soul of the Accord are functionally the same thing in this deck because we want to be tapping them, making a token. That token then later on will be able to tap to surveil, and then we can just keep building a board. So these are kind of our board in a box cards. Crawling Sensation to a lesser extent. If you're surveilling lands, it will make a 1/1 every time. Once per turn, you'll get to make a 1/1 with it, which kind of does a similar thing. So, moving on. We have a bunch of looters in this deck. So Looter Ilkor is kind of the tribe of the deck, or the type of the deck. So we have 5 different looters in the deck. We have Ledger Shredder, Merfolk Looter, Suspicious Stowaway, Looter Ilkor, and Malcolm Alluring Scoundrel. All of these with Tocasia become hit, hold back to be able to block, or hold back to be able to surveil. So each of these looters represents 2 cards in our graveyard, or 2 cards seen. Malcolm being one of the cooler ones, and Suspicious Stowaway being one of the cooler ones. Next category is some recursion. So we're putting some things in the graveyard. We want to be getting things back from the graveyard. So we have Teshar, Emery Lurker of the Loch, Karmic Guide, Invoke Justice, Crucible of Worlds, Eternal Witness, Cosmic Rebirth, Perennial Behemoth, and God Pharaoh's Gift. These are ways to get things back from our graveyard. It's valuable. The thing that I really like about this deck is it doesn't have to be a graveyard deck. It's pretty easy to win the game without being able to or through graveyard hate even. So a bunch of these are great. Godpharaoh's Gift is one that I'm a little suspect on. It's not my favorite, but it still does cool things. Things we want in our graveyard: Wonder, obviously, gives everything flying. Neoform is a way to get things into the graveyard, tutor creatures out of the deck. This is just a powerhouse in here. Angel of Sanctions, we love having either in our hand or in the graveyard, or both. We could play it, it dies, we embalm it. It's a good time. Some card draw. We have a bunch of card advantage in this deck. Muldrifter, Aboleth Spawn, the Reality Chip, Brainstorm, Green Sun Zenith, Crop Rotation, Treasure Cruise, Windfall, Beast Whisper. So these are all of our ways of getting card advantage, either through creatures or just by drawing cards. Windfall is really great in the deck because it can fill your graveyard. This deck draws a lot of cards. It draws a lot of card advantage. Beast Whisper is great because, again, there's nearly 40 creatures in the deck. So moving on to our ramp package, a lot of these you'll notice too are on creatures, just because we want to be able to ramp with something, or play a creature, get some value out of it, and then it sticks around for Tocasia's ability to be able to have vigilance and tap to surveil. So we have Birds of Paradise, Growing Rights of Itlamok. Harvest Season is nutty because you search for X basic lands, where X is the number of tapped creatures you control. Sometimes this is like 8. Arboreal Grazer, Shaigiki, Avacyn's Pilgrim, Feyburrow Elder. Greater Tanuki is great ramp with Ellie and Allen, because you pay 3, it goes to the graveyard, and then Ellie and Allen can get rid of it and discover 6. Kiora's Follower, also great ramp because it can either untap a land, untap one of your ramp packages, or it can untap something to surveil again, or it can untap Ellie and Allen, or it can untap Shorikai Genesis Engine. Like, this is maybe one of the best pieces of ramp in the deck. Cryptolith Right is ramp that's its redundancy for the being able to tap ability. Sakura Tribe Elder, Bramble Familiar, a Soul Ring. Scare Tiller is ramp and recursion that wants to be tapped. So another just very cool include. And that is a ramp package for the deck. Next we have interaction. So again, it's very similarly, we want to have creatures that have some interaction on them that will then be able to stick around and tap. So Spell Queller, Frilled Mystic, Remorseful Cleric, Venser's Shaper Savant, Haywire Mite, Colossal Sky Turtle, another good channel card, Mirror Shell Crab, another good channel card, and then just an Arcane Denial, a Swords to Plowshares. Into our protection section to round us out here, we have Surge of Salvation, a Swiftfoot Boots. Sereth the Viper's Fang is unbelievable here because other tapped creatures have Death Touch and other untapped creatures have Hexproof. So with Tocasia out, what you can do is you can swing with all of your stuff that is now Hexproof and Vigilant, and if any of it gets blocked, you can just tap to Surveil in response before damage goes through, which then gives it Death Touch. So Sereth makes things scary. And then a Selfless Savior to round us out. And that's the deck. It's crazy. It looks like a pile of creatures that just does a bunch of things with a little bit of recursion, but all of this value adds up. It snowballs unbelievably quickly. It rebuilds from board wipes very quickly. Yeah, this has become one of my favorites. So thanks for watching. That's Tocasia Digsite Mentor.